Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at MicroMacro Crime City Full House by Pegasus Spiele.
That's a mouthful, and the title goes on forever and ever with this game.
We won't tell you how many takes that took.
This is the sequel, the standalone sequel to a very popular game from 2020, and that is MicroMacro Crime City. Well, this is Full House, and no, we're not talking about the famous TV show. This is going to be a cross between a detective deduction kind of game, sort of to the like of Chronicles of Crime, if you're familiar with that game, combined with Where's Waldo? Yeah. Imagine that in a board game format, and you get MicroMacro Crime City Full House. You and everybody at the table are going to be going through cards which tell a little bit of a story, telling you to find a particular scene somewhere on the map. And this map is huge. And then from that point, you're going to need to follow the clues to figure out what happened in that particular crime in order to solve it. This is a cooperative game. It's for 1 to 4 players. Let's go down below. We'll show you a little bit of how it works without spoiling too much of the game. And then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, here's MicroMacro Crime City Full House from Pegasus Spiele on the table here. Let me show you guys how this game works. And if you are already familiar with MicroMacro Crime City, the original game, you can go ahead and skip over this portion of the video, as the Full House standalone expansion is very similar to the original game. You're just going to have new cases, new things to solve, and I'm not going to spoil any of that in this portion of the video, so you can go ahead and skip over and just go straight to our thoughts if you'd like. But if you aren't familiar with this game, let me show you how it works. And before I do, I'm going to show you what you get in this game. You can see here you have a giant fold-out, not board, but map that you are going to be playing on. And you can see just how detailed everything is on this map. There are tons of little people, buildings, cars, stuff going on in this city. And this is going to be kind of like Where's Waldo as you look throughout this town, Crime City, trying to solve different crimes that have taken place throughout the city. Now, you're going to have 16 different cases that you are going to be trying to solve, and you're going to have a deck of cards that you're going to separate and put into different envelopes here. These envelopes are kind of like sort of like tissue paper, sort of. They're not really paper, and they're see-through, but they work well enough to hold the different cards in place. And I'm going to show you what comes inside the one for the introduction case. And so you're going to have a card here that will show you the name of the case that you're working on, as well as who wrote it, because each case is written by a different person. And there are going to be icons up here in the top. This one right here will show you how many cards come in this particular case, and this one right here shows you which card this is a case of. So the sombrero obviously is going to have a sombrero icon. And what you're going to do is you're going to elect someone to read the backside of this card here, and it will show you what is going to be happening in this case. And then you will need to find the person that's illustrated on the bottom of this card here. So you'll want to find Fernando, who lost his sombrero, and there'll be some context clues here: Central Highline Station, video screen. He's standing next to a video screen. So you're going to try and find that throughout this map. Now, I'm not going to show you where he's at because I want you to figure that out on your own. But then there will be some questions that you have to try to solve as you try to figure out the case. Because how this works, this is one big scene, but it is something that takes place over the course of time. So you're going to see the same people in different spots in the city as though they were moving. So for instance, you might see a person here, and you see him again here, and then you see him again here, and now you see them over here. And that's just going to give you this depiction that this person is traveling throughout the course of the city, and maybe something happens to them along the way. To give you a better example of this, I'm going to actually show you the box, because up here in the corner it says to get started right away, solve this case on the cover of the box here. Who murdered the ice cream vendor? And you can see right there, there is the ice cream stand. So let's take a focus in on that ice cream vendor, the guy with the funny looking mustache. Well, look, there he is again right there, and he's leaving the ice cream shop. And so you can see that he has walked away. And so we got to scoot back here to see, well, where did he go next? Oh, there he is right there. And now we're going to keep following him until we see what happens to him. So there he is right there. And note that he does have a bag. And who is that that's standing there behind him? Uh-oh, it looks like a bandit. So we're just going to continue to follow out this story. There he is again. And there's that bandit with a baseball bat. Uh-oh, what's going to happen there? Oh, no, something happened to him. There's the baseball bat, but where's that bag? We're going to keep tracking it. There's that guy right there. And he kind of goes around the back side of the box here. There he is right there. And anyhow, that's what happens. And so you can see on the back of the box here the answer for that case. It's actually upside down. So you could pause the video and read that if you want. But basically, I showed you how the answer to that is. And that's how this game works. So that gives you a good example of the things that you're going to be doing in this game. There are cases in here that are much more difficult than what I just showed. You are going to be tracking them in subways and buses and all sorts of stuff, and they tell pretty interesting stories as you are trying to solve the cases in this case. And that's pretty much the gist. This is a cooperative game. You are not competing against anyone. You are just simply trying to solve the case. Now, as is the case in our videos, we do like to show the insert to the games, and this one is just a simple cardboard insert here. You've got two different wells that you are going to use to stack your different cases into. You can put half in the top well, the other half in the bottom well. You do also get a cool little magnifying little disc, or whatever you want to call this. It's not really a magnifying glass, but this helps you zoom in a little bit closer on some of the details so that you can see it a little bit closer. And that's what you got here inside of MicroMacro Crime City Full House. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. All right, we're back, and now Sam and I are going to share our thoughts on MicroMacro Crime City Full House. Normally, we would show you gameplay footage during this segment of the film, but as is the case with this particular game, we didn't want to spoil anything by pointing at certain spots on the board to give away where you're supposed to be looking at particular missions. So we're just going to talk about it to you guys face to face. So Sam, you've never seen the first one of these games, no. the MicroMacro Crime City. I have played that one, but this is the Full House one. So what was your experience just seeing this on the board for the first time and kind of wrapping your mind around what kind of game this is?
Well, I think first it's more of an activity than a board game. But you see it, and I was like, what are we supposed to do with this big coloring sheet?
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like.
In fact, that was our daughter's first reaction. Are we coloring tonight?
Yeah. But once Lance started to explain the game to me and we played the intro one, I really liked it. I mean, the fact that it's a cooperative game, so you're playing together, you're finding something. It's a fun activity. It feels like not an escape room necessarily, but just like that's something that you're trying to work through together.
It's a puzzle you're figuring out. It's a riddle that you're trying to solve, and it does it in a different way than most other puzzle-solving games, in that you're just simply needing to find something. You need to look for it, just like you did in Where's Waldo, if you're familiar with that popular children's book series. But with this, I thought it was such a unique aspect, and I'm going to set this box down because it keeps wanting to open up on me. A unique way of kind of the time element as it tells this story in the same picture. You need to follow this guy. Oh, look, he's right there. Now he's over here. Now he's there.
Yeah, but where's he going? Did we miss one?
Did we miss
because
something?
Those two don't make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool with this game. That's no different than the original MicroMacro. You have that same sort of feel with the Full House experience. And really, these two games are pretty much the same. It's just 16 new missions to work through. So in talking about one, you can kind of talk about both. But yeah, I thought it was really unique. clever design of how they put together this thing. Let's talk a little bit about the missions that you go through in this game and how fun those are and how clever those are. What was that like for you as a non-gamer, seeing that work out?
Yeah, I mean, figuring out, looking at the surrounding areas of the initial crime, who was there? Do we see those people again? What kind of car were they in? What crime is being committed here?
Yeah, because sometimes you're not always sure.
Yeah. And we've played, how many have we played now?
7 or 8,
yeah.
I think.
And
so
everyone
about half of it.
is so unique, and people cross paths, and I can't imagine how much time it must have taken to create
Absolutely.
this.
That was the thing I was very blown away with the first one. And in this one, the map is not the same. You're not looking at the same map. It's a totally different thing with this one. To the time it must have taken to put all of this together must have been quite a bit of an achievement. And then to write the clever stories for the missions that go along with each person, it really feels like you're looking at a real living city that's moving in front of your eyes, which is such a weird experience with a board game because they're static. They're not actually moving, but it feels like they are. Yeah, it's just a really kind of cool thing to play out. And then we've played it with our kids.
We have. And the age does say 12 plus. I think you could do a little younger. It is the idea that they are seeing time lapses of people is a hard concept for younger kids. But they did start to understand, oh, this is who I'm looking for.
I would say it was something that they didn't quite grasp at first. Having played 2 or 3 missions now, I think they get it. And I'm glad that we've tried this with them because I do think it stretches their mind to really have to think in that, well, this is what was happening and it's leading into and kind of predicting what's going to come next because of what's happened before. I think that's a good skill to try and develop with your kids. And this game can do that. Now, and it talks about this in the rules set, so I'm not saying anything that's not they didn't already say first. They will talk about, this mission here is probably okay to play with kids because the crime isn't that big of a deal. Like kids stole a guy's hat kind of thing. And just kids being kids. Yeah, stealing, no problem. But this one over here has murder involved, so you probably don't want to play that with your kids.
You don't want to explain what had to happen there.
And they have icons on the different missions to let you know which ones are probably appropriate, borderline, and then not appropriate.
But everyone is a crime.
Yes.
So you need to go in knowing that.
Absolutely, yeah. And the box does say ages 12 and up, but
probably a maturity thing more than a understanding.
Right. But I think it's a fun family activity if you're okay with the theme of the game.
Yeah.
Because everybody's really looking at the page or the map. Everybody's communicating with one another.
You get there was 5 of us playing, and there's a lot. I was like, there's too many people breathing on me right now.
Now, I do think that's why they say for players 1 to 4.
Yeah.
You don't want to have more than 4 playing this game. I thought about bringing it to a party one night, and there was about 7 people there, and I thought, no, that's going to be way too many people. So you really don't want to play with more than 4. But it's fun to do when you are playing with a group of people, small group, and everybody's looking and everybody's talking about, well, I see this over here. Where do we see it now? Here. That's a fun experience, I feel like. So I like that a lot. Pros and cons with MicroMacro Crime City Full House. Getting all that in there. What do you like about it?
The only con is it is so large and it's paper. And I understand that like you only play the 16 missions and then you're done. So I don't think they'd want to put much more money into the actual quality of or the design of the layout.
Yeah.
But I personally think it might be better if it was like a tablecloth type material.
Yeah, or like a canvas or something, if that's, something that you can do.
When we were playing with the kids and you're seeing them lean on it, you're just like, no,
they're going to rip
stop.
it.
Yeah,
I definitely did feel that.
It wasn't that big of an issue, but we have quite a big table here, and it was still hanging off.
It still takes up, you're going to need a lot of space for this one.
And we're old. I'm not putting this on the floor. I'm not going to be hunched over on the floor, so it needs to fit on a table, but that's very very nitpicky. It did not change the enjoyment of the game at all.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that, folks, that you can't just play this anywhere because it does take up a lot of space. But outside of that, I think it that's probably the only cons with it. So
yeah.
What did you like about it?
It was such a unique concept. I hadn't seen this. I mean, sure, everyone's played Where's Waldo, but to see the progression of time and having to go backtrack and then go forward, and I loved it. I thought it was so great. I think the first night we played it, we probably played 5 missions, just because it was so enjoyable, and it's fun to work together and to figure things out. And I think a couple times I was like, I bet I know what happened, and then you're wrong. It completely takes you off guard.
Well, and it's easy to miss something, and then you go back and you're like, how did I miss that?
Yes.
That was right there. My eyes just glazed right over it.
Yeah. It's not a great travel game.
No.
But I would love, there's a lot of people that I would want to play this with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything you said there. I think it's a fun one to play with the kids. It's a unique experience. You're not going to find anything like this anywhere else in the board gaming world. So if you haven't tried the first one, this is a great one to pick up and try, or even the first one if you want to go back to it, but definitely check it out. You don't want to miss this one. So scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. What do you give MicroMacro Crime City Full House?
I loved this game. I'd give it a solid 8.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. I'm really high on it as well. I was high on the first one. We never did a review on the first one. This one, I'm still blown away with what they did with it, and the way the stories are written, the little missions are written. It's intriguing. It really draws me in and makes me want to try to figure this out. They're challenging too. I'm going to give it an 8.2. I really enjoy this game. It's one that I think is solid. The one knock on it, outside of what we've already said, it's limited. And so you're only going to play it 16 times and then it's done. You can't replay the missions. You already know the answers. So that is one thing, but it doesn't cost a whole lot. And so, you're not investing too much money into it. So, but pretty cool game. There you go. So MicroMacro Crime City Full House. We'll put the box back up again. It's from Pegasus Spiele, so go check it out.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
We are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.